Greetings everyone, dear friends and fellow Africans. Let me share to you this wonderful message from Joshua Maponga.
Zambia, there are so many places where the same mineral resources, are said to be, in the hands of the superpower countries. But the truth is, King Maponga, you are aware that Africans or no any other country in Africa is capable to manage the mines because we don't have the machinery to begin to process those minerals that we have today. Hence, the involvement of our friends, I call them friends, from the West, Europe,
let's call them frenemies. They're not friends. They are enemies who are pretending to be friends. Let's call them frenemies. That's a new word for you. Huh? They're frenemies. They look like friends, but they're not friends. Now, this is where, when I'm talking, you must hear me twice. When I'm saying we need to decolonize even education, that is the context I'm coming from. You blatantly want to admit that we don't have the knowledge. We don't have the skills. We don't have the machinery. Like, really? Then what is the use of our universities? What is the use of our technical colleges? What is the use of the Department of Mining? What is the use of the Department of Commerce? Why not go out there like the Chinese did? Buy the damn mine. Rent out and hire the engineers. Bring them to your own colleges and teach your own young people how to use these machines. And you walk up to any of these mines around, how many white people are in there? Are there not black people working there? So at the end of the day, with a cankered, rotten system that doesn't want to look the devil in the eye and say the education which we're giving our children is not connected to the resources that they have on the ground. So even after they get educated, they still walk around and say, but we don't have capacity, we don't have the education, we don't have the skills. If you don't have the skills, then why did you go to school? Then what were you doing in school? Learning how many legs does a grasshopper have? Then you say you're educated. Then it means that the weakest link is not only the mining sector. The weakest link is the education and technical colleges that are producing engineers, electricians, who can't even go as Zambians and look at the copper belt as a source of resource and say, how do we take our knowledge system and education in Zambia to look and study the copper industry properly and create that into a value chain so that we can employ our own children. Therefore, the curriculum at the University of Zambia is useless if it leaves the engineers and the mineralogists totally defunct of the fact of maximizing on the resources that are next door, right in front of their doors.
And what is the answer to that, those lamentations?
Chase away the professors. Chase them away. What are they doing there? Would rather go and rent out some Chinese and British and German engineers and make them as lecturers who can show us how to create the same machinery that we're busy buying from the West. We need solutions, young men. We're not here to be lamenting problems. We need a solution. So if you're an engineering lecturer at a university and you have not produced the machinery that can deal with Zambian problems, you are wasting taxpayers' money. Fold those damn papers, put them in a cardboard box and take a leave of absence. You're a weakest link to the system. Useless, to say the least. Carrying a pile of books, yet you can't even run a spaza shop.
Well spoken from Joshua Maponga. This is a very fantastic speak. If you are good in the continent of Africa, you are not allowed to stay in the continent. If you have knowledge, you are not allowed to stay in the continent. Let me give you a few examples. If you are good in football, you will be hired to play in Europe. So the continent of Africa will never benefiting from you. Otherwise, they will watch you through televisions. I remember 2 years ago when Osman Tule was offered to study master's degree in Canada. This is a young Pan-Africanist. But he refused and said, I'm going to start my master's in Rwanda because Rwanda is in Africa and they are conducting their things in African ways. So I want to apply things that are to the people like me. So you know what? I'm just taking those two examples to speak to you, to the people who think that Africa we have no skills to create our own machinery, to create our things, or to utilize our resources. What the systems that has been imposed, especially in the education system. First of all, if you are good in education, you will get scholarship to go to study in Europe. After that, you will be hired in Europe. So the knowledge you have, the skills you have, will be used in Europe. That's the reality. Not only in education system, as I said, even in sports and games. If you are good in football, if you are professional in football, you must, or you are going to play in Europe. If you play in Africa here, it looks like you have your capacity is very low. You see, so that is the mentality that we have. And I was listening Julius Malema talking about that Africa, we have fighting to work for the white men in the. That's why we have this we call xenophobia. Maybe yes, you know what? Our education systems has been created to be a job seekers, not job creators. I was spoken this for many times that Africa, we need to have education systems that create us to be the job creators, not job seekers. For us to be a job creators, job seekers, we need capacities in the continent here. Yes, every year, African governments send people to Europe, to China, to America to acquire different knowledges. Here in the continent, we have professors, we have doctors, master degrees holders. What are they doing? What are they doing here in the continent? Today, our roads are not constructed by Africans, are constructed by Chinese. Our government's offices, our stadiums have been constructed by Chinese. Where are Africans? Where are African engineers? Where are African doctors? That's the question that we must ask ourselves. We have good people, but are not in the continent. We have good people in the diaspora. That's why every now and then we are talking about we need the capacities in the diaspora to come home. When Nana Addo Kufuor said we need the people of Africa and descent to come back home in the year of return, he meant that we need those capacities who are in the diaspora. Nigerian doctor outside of the continent are many than the Nigerian doctor in the Nigerian country. You can just imagine it. So we have capacities, we have enough capacities, but our capacities has been taken away from us. That's why, and these are systems that has been imposed on us so that they are not allowing us to have a good people. That's why I said, if you are good in Africa, you are not allowed. Many good people in Africa have been offered to go to Europe, to go to America, to go to China, to seek a green card. Even we Africans, we have already have a knowledge in the capacities, thinking that in order to utilize our resources or to utilize our knowledge, we need to go to Europe. So we need, first of all, to remove this mindset, to change our mindsets that things can happen here in the continent of Africa. So we can speak as many things we can speak, but all in all, we need to decolonize our mind. Let us change our mindset, the way of thinking as Africans. Let us appreciate that things can happen here in the continent. Leadership, we need good leadership in the continent so that they can embrace technology, they can embrace skills and knowledge so that we can utilize. Sometimes our politics maybe is not good because someone who is celebrated more in Africa, maybe some politicians think that he or she come to take over, but that is not true. Some of them have knowledge, and we need to use those knowledge of our people. So to say Africa, we have no skills, we have no capacities, that is not true. Let me give you an example. Africa, we are the one who built pyramids, we built the Mali Empire, the war, Great War at that time. It means Africa, we have skills. If we are talking about Iron Age, axes and holes, hollow from iron are made by Africans. So Africans, we have skills since then. Even in traditional ways, today we say tradition, but it is not tradition, it is African ways. So when even the Europeans' way are traditional Europeans, so that is the African way. So Africa, it is not true that Africa we don't have capacity. Africa, we have capacities. Let us do things in the African way. The problem that we have, we want to do things like Europeans. We want to do things like Americans. Look at the Chinese. They are doing their things, their own thing as the Chinese. If you look things, you see this is Chinese. This is Indian. So even Africans, we need to do our own things in the African way. So I've decided to share this because it is very touching me to say Africa we have no skills, but for 60 years Africa we have universities. Africans went to school. Every now and then we see Africans get scholarship to Europe, but they are not coming back to give us feedback. Please, if you have you got scholarship to Europe in engineering, in NH, please come back and give us feedback. We need your feedback. Your feedback is not just talking. Your feedback is to do things. We need things to happen, so that is the feedback that we need from you. So let us come together as Africans. Let us collaborate with the people who are in the diaspora. Please, people who are in diaspora, you have great duty to play. You have a great role to play for this continent. Please understand that. Thank you.